I was never driven by money. I guess from some perspectives that's a bad thing. But I was only driven by things that I enjoyed to do. And I did have opportunities, a couple where the road that I was suggesting to go down would probably have made me a billionaire. The first one was early on. Well, it was a year into, so it wasn't early. It was a year into my internet company, and we were three at that stage. I think we would have been maybe four people, and we had just moved into an office space in the factory, Barrow Street in Dublin. We were the first internet company on Barrow Street. And we were awaiting a fixed line for an internet connection, which was causing difficulty for the telecoms company because this was not an area which had any such technological stuff going on in it. It's now the headquarters of Google. They have their HQ just along from where I was on Barrow Street. Silicon Docks, they call it now. And I leased I was planning to, and I did, do my own hosting and run everything from my office via my lease line. And I'm looking at a Robin. And then I got a Silicon Graphics machine, an O2, as my workhorse server. And on the SGI Silicon Graphics, there was a piece of software that came with it for VR ML development, virtual reality modeling language. And of course I explored it, had a look at it, and it was an AutoCAD type 3D modeling environment, and I thought it was pretty cool, but a bit clunky to use and certainly not very easy to create things in. And I imagined that it would be cool if, instead of having to click my mouse and drag to draw the shape of the object which I had selected, be it a sphere or a cuboid or a whatever, that I would have to draw each of them independently, which was quite, slow. And so I thought that it would be cool if you could just click your mouse and place an object, and create things like that. But I wasn't a gaming company. I was an internet company, and that's what everybody told me at the time. It's like, let it go. It's not your thing. But that was Minecraft, which didn't come out for many years later, 5 years later, I think, Minecraft showed up, and that was a great success. So I would have had to have taken on another employee because we didn't have anybody in the company that could write code at such a level. Me personally, if I had a regret in life, it would be this, and it's that I never learned how to write code. I can write HTML, I'm a HTML monkey, no problem, scripting. But writing code to be compiled or runtime, no, I never did. I never got into it. I remember the first computer class at school, I was about 14, and we sat in a room in front of benches like a science lab, and there was a computer just distributed amongst every couple of people, every few people, and the teacher came in wearing his white coat to start the computer class. Everyone was excited and buzzing about this, and after a few minutes of him going around all the computers, he determined that he couldn't make them work, so that was it. And I changed school not long afterwards. And basically, in my education, I missed out on computer classes here, missed it there, missed it there, missed it here. So I never came across it in any setting. And I didn't have a computer until I was about, well, I had access to one when I was about 15, 16. My brother got a Mac, an LC3, and I was able to use that, and that got me onto internet, which was all I really wanted. I had no interest to be writing any software. I was more interested in building what this new space was that was just come upon us, the World Wide Web. So yeah, so that was Minecraft. And then I saw potential, but we didn't have the technology at the time that we needed. That would be another many years, 10 years, before we would have handsets in our hands to use every day. But I saw and understood very well how you could implement what Skype did, free IP telephony. That would not have been a problem, but we didn't have the tech in our hands. And then the last one was 1999, the year I went bust. My company went bust. We just ran out of customers. There was a big loss of confidence in internet, in the general market space and business space, and everyone was saying, oh, it's a stupid idea, kind of. And so customers just dropped off. I was getting no business. So we went bust that year. And so I always knew in the previous 3 years, 4 years working in internet in the late 90s that I had to come up with a service or a product that would be sticky, that the people would enjoy and that the people would love and that we could generate revenue from. At the time, nobody was talking what I was talking about, which was free. Nobody saw that you can make money from free. Mark Zuckerberg didn't know that when he started Facebook, and until he got Sheryl Sandberg in, and she explained to him how you make money from free. But I saw it, but nobody else saw it, so nobody supported. Again, I would have had to take somebody on, a programming skill person. It was a thing I never had. Steve Jobs was. I never, to do all the grunt, the hard work, that you have the idea, you need someone to implement the idea. I never had anyone to implement my ideas for me, with me. So yeah, that was, I called it Bubble in '99, and it was from having used all of the early social media efforts, which were efforts but which were none of them satisfying. Things like MySpace and all of that family from the 90s. There weren't many. They were more like news groups. They were very rudimentary and not really engaging. So my idea, I called it Bubble. And the idea was that you'd go to Bubble, you'd set up your own bubble, you'd set up an account and you'd be your own bubble. And you would invite your friends and to create their own bubbles. And like bubbles do in the real world, they'll stick together if they're so inclined, and they'll drift away if they're not. And there's pretty much infinite space for many bubbles, and bubbles are an interesting way of visualizing communities, from the individual to the city to the country. And that was also the reason I saw a venture capitalist around that time, an American guy. We had lunch in the Unicorn, which was a fantastic restaurant in Dublin City, down a little laneway where, yeah, it was a great restaurant. It's a very authentic Italian restaurant. But yeah, I had lunch with this VC there. It was all going great. And apparently where I made the mistake with him was that I said something. My friend that came with me told me later that it was all going good until I said to him that I'm so committed to this business that even if it goes to zero, I will still stick with it. I didn't like that, because I guess VCs are just all about the cash, and they're like, if you see it going to zero, you better tell us, we get out, boom, whatever. But he didn't like my commitment. It was too high. So didn't trust me, whatever. So that didn't happen. Bubble went on then again 5 years later to pop out in the world, because it was another great idea. And we know it as Facebook. Facebook was essentially what Bubble would have done too. I wouldn't have gone to such secondary, ancillary things that Facebook has reached out into. I would have just kept it sweet, keep it like this: communication, contact, community. But that didn't happen. And then years later, when I was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis, I was looking around the world. I came across a potential investment opportunity, and it was costing 10 cents, then it was costing 15, then 20 cents. This thing was growing. And I asked around, I spoke with people about it, what they thought about this, and nobody knew anything, and anybody who did, they said they wouldn't touch it. And so I was gonna anyway make this investment. And I could have produced them myself. There's a fly in my ear. I could have produced them myself, or I could have bought them and have them kept for me. So I wasn't in a position to produce them myself. We just had a new baby, and the setup was just not going to work out. I did consider it, so I would have had to have purchased them and have them stored in a vault. Okay, that's not a problem. I was going to buy 50,000 of these things, and that would have cost me about $5,000, euros, whatever you want to say. But it was that kind of an investment level, about $5,000. And the more I looked into it, And there's a thing they say, this is a big failing for a lot of people in investing, is that they know too much. Sometimes a guy will walk into a room, see an offer, say, I like the look of that, I'll take it. Another guy will come in and say, tell me the history of this, tell me who made it, tell me its provenance, tell me everything. That guy might not buy it. But the guy that doesn't ask too many questions may buy it. I ask too many questions. And I discovered that there were exchanges and vaults for this product that had been hacked, and users what they own was stolen from them. So it's like, I don't like that. I don't like that one little bit. And I kind of was suspicious about that possibility. So it was just confirmation for me. And I saw another one of the same. I was like, okay, I'm definitely out of this. I'm not going to do this. I'm not going to touch this. So I didn't touch it. So I didn't buy Bitcoin for 20 cents, 50,000 of them. Had I have done that, of course, in the subsequent years, once it hit $1, I would have been 5 times up on my investment. That would have been celebratory. Would have sold some. Once it hit $2, that would have been celebratory. Would have sold some. And along like that, it would have gone. Now I may have ended up with some at the end, at the $100,000 point. May even have some today. Who knows? I suspect I probably would have not. Well, who knows? You just don't know. I heard about this lady many years ago, not so long ago, a few years ago, 10 maybe. She won $1 million on the lottery and bought a house and got the handbags and the cars and everything and this and that. Had a kind of chaotic life. But now she's level, she's regular, and she still has some of that money. So she didn't blow it all. So good for her. But she's not happier. She says she wishes she didn't win it because it changed her life in too many ways, unforeseen. And for that reason, I'm happy that I'm not a billionaire. I don't think I could live with it. My conscience couldn't live with having so much wealth, knowing what's, for the most people, is a scarcity of wealth. And I could not sit hoarding. I would have to give it away. We would just have to, And then once you've given it away, you don't have any left to give away. So it's like, we're back to square one. So what's the point of that? Yeah, so I've seen go down here, I know I can make money, but nobody believed in me that I can do that. I've seen over here, go down there, you can make money, nobody believed that either. And this way, and I think this way, and yeah. Do I regret any of it? No, not at all. Tell you what I regret. I regret that I can't find a copy of .ie magazine, which I think was issued free with some other magazine in Ireland in the late 90s, in which I wrote an article. I was probably still going by the name Michael Deegan at that point, and my email address was deej@iol.ie. And I wrote an article. Cyber Club was part of the title, and I was talking about how this is the 90s, and I was talking about how we need to do something in terms of regulation and what needs to be done for children to be able to use the internet safely. That needs to be addressed. And nothing was done about it for many, many years until the whole Wild West got out of control, which is the situation we're in today. But I would like to find that article. I'd love to see what my style of writing was like back then. Probably piss poor. So now I'm not saying that I won't make $1 billion. I might. But what I have now that might make me $1 billion, I don't have the energy to fulfill that. Just too tired. There's multiple sclerosis for you. So I want to sell it to someone. I'll tell them what to do, what I would do, but I think it's it's a big money maker if you can spin it. I met a billionaire in France one time, and he was in tech, and this is more than 10 years ago. Told him all about it. This product I have, which is an app, and he said, "Brilliant, you're going to need distribution." And I thought, it's going to be free on the iPhone, on Android. It's no distribution. I said, no eyeballs. You need to get in front of eyeballs. Of course, he means marketing, promotion. I don't have the wherewithal to do any of that. So it's funny. In the 90s, there was a merger of two government bodies that support businesses into a new organization, and I tendered for their website. They were just starting off, first time, new organization, new thing called internet. Let's have a website. So I won the tender for them. So that was about 98, 99, and I went bust soon after. And I checked in intermittently over the years, and the same website, some of the content was changing a bit, but same information architecture that I put down for them remained for a decade, I'd say. I did a good job for that organization. I was good on many levels. So now this new thing, I wanted to sell it to someone. And I've worked out, people have told me, suggested to me prices, what I should ask for this. I've considered them all. Like, we're talking about from 5 million to 25 million. And I consider them, all valid. But I've considered my needs, which are not much. I want to get a family home. I want to get an apartment for my kids. Not much else. Give the rest of it to my wife. Try to buy gold, buy silver. So I want to sell it. And it doesn't matter much to me, which way you want to call it, what currency, but I'll sell it in US dollars or euro for, take a guess, how much you think? How much you think I think that, what is it? It's an app. It's an app that came about because when I was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis, I wanted to try and make an app that would be good against this disease, but it wasn't possible. There's nothing, it's an infinitely different kind of a disease. But what I did come up with was an app that is good against dementia type diseases, Alzheimer and all the variants thereof, which is pretty mind-blowingly cool. Nothing to help with MS, but in itself this is really cool. So that's what I have. So I hope you might be interested. Leave a comment, get in touch, MikeDeegan@gmail.com. Have a great day. Thanks, bye.